In for Baccarat, and that goes in! Hugo Baccarat gives Flint City a 3-2. Buckley, the ball falls to Buckley. One-on-one with Etheridge. What a save!
Welcome into the first ever MSN All-State Media Day for girls soccer. Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stickrett.
Ball comes in, a good head! 1-0! Shot, another save from Etheridge! Rebound, and it goes in the back of the net. The Bulldogs up 1-0! Herzma, but then for Vlasma! 3-0! Stewart Heights with a shot! Upper 90 and in!
Effectively today here on the Michigan Soccer Network, we are launching our new division of player recruitment videos.
Mario Canoe now finds Sock. Finds Sock's got a left-footed banger. He shoots it! It's in! The Red Hawks equalize! All right, welcome back in here into our MSN Studios Detroit City FC recap show number 2. Neil Rule, Jonathan Turner, and Neil. Detroit City FC this past week got win number 2 in a row to start the season off right.
No, absolutely, because you are doing things right. When you're at the top of the table right now, you have 6 points. They are tied for the most points in the league with Lou City, and that's with more than half the league, playing more games than you have. So, as a matter of fact, that's a dream start for Detroit City FC, and they're ready to rock.
That's right. And, this past week, Saturday, Keyworth Stadium was rocking 6,000 plus fans in their home opener. Neil, you were not there. Neil, you were taking care of business down in Pittsburgh. Where were you at this weekend?
I was spying on the Riverhounds. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was down there with Oakland doing the radio play-by-play for the Oakland Golden Grizzlies when they beat Kentucky on Thursday night in the NCAA tournament with my guy Jack Golke, American hero, as he's known as right now. And then on Saturday called the overtime loss to NC State. It was a heartbreaker. It came right down to the very end. But in the end, the Golden Grizzlies, the greatest moment in Oakland University history, not Oakland University basketball, Oakland University history. The website crashed. Oakland's website crashed during the game. So, yeah, I was very, very sad to miss it. I think I missed like one match ever in Detroit City FC history. So I was crushed to miss it, but the guys took care of business and we keep it pushing. And one thing I know, when I'm calling the matches lately, be it Oakland, Detroit City, you tend to get wins. So we'll take it. We'll keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a great way to miss a match, right? To call an NCAA tournament matchup. Obviously, you talk about Kentucky, who has been quintessential, is in regards to how good they've been over the years. And obviously, the last number of years, they've struggled in the tournament. But nonetheless, you're still going up against a powerhouse. And Oakland went in there. They were not afraid. They played like a team that was destined to win on Thursday night. And hey, they didn't shock me. I know they didn't shock you. They played great basketball and put Oak University on the map.
Yeah, real quick, it was reminiscent of Detroit City FC's win in the playoffs at Pittsburgh last year when Pittsburgh was the 1 seed, and they went in there, they went toe for toe, and they actually were the better team. Like Oakland was a better team, just the same way Detroit City FC was a better team at Pittsburgh in that playoff game. And yeah, it was shocking. Like on paper, it was shocking, but it wasn't shocking if you were there. It wasn't shocking if you watched the way things were executed. And Oakland got the win. It was deserved. They were the better team for 40 minutes. Facts.
Well, the other thing, too, I think is important is something we saw a little bit toward the tail end of the game on Saturday, but on Thursday night, everything was going right for the Golden Grizzlies, right? Everything, the Jack Golke, just everything seemed to be going right for them on Thursday. And towards the end of that, it almost felt like things kind of started to go in a different direction, and it stinks because that's the way it went. But again, I got to give them credit. They fought really hard till the end, and again, whether they won or lost on Saturday, you were damn proud to be an Oakland Golden Grizzly fan.
No, absolutely. And we know the lineage, too, with Detroit City FC. The Oakland Golden Grizzlies program has been good to Detroit City FC. Shout out Jean-Claude Lawson, the all-time leading goal scorer. Seb Harris as well. Those are my guys. So, yeah, everyone was proud around Oakland for sure.
No question about that, but we got to move on here to Detroit City FC. Let's take a look here at the recap from this past weekend. This recap presented by Granite City Food and Brewery. Eat good eats, drink good drinks, and have good times. And Neil, we get into this here right now, and we talk about statistics. And we talked about it last week in that matchup as I put these statistics here back on the screen, or on the screen for the first time tonight. But take a look here. 56% possession here for Detroit City FC to 43% of that of Loudoun United.
No, and it was the formula, right? I think it was a lot of matches that we've seen, throughout the time at Keyworth. And I know last week when we talked about this game, I had told everybody, this wasn't the same Loudoun United side. At the beginning, they came out and they got the lead. I think that they showed that. Certainly during stretches of the match, but it was the good start for Loudoun United. It was what they wanted. Now Detroit City FC was able to draw level, and then Loudoun United made a critical mistake, and it's something that we had seen at Keyworth before that Loudoun United had done. And I mentioned it because I was on the Loudoun United North Carolina match in last week when I was down there, also doing the Detroit City at Colorado Springs matchup. And Loudoun United, they played very, very well. They were the better side, but they made a critical mistake in much the same vein like their keeper Faroux did in this match. But the difference is they paid the price this time at Keyworth. They got away with it against North Carolina. They did not get away with it. And Maxi Rodriguez made no mistake. And Lejope got an equalizing one. It was very on brand for him. It's what we've seen him do during his time here. He's not afraid to give one a lash, and he certainly did. And very on brand for Detroit City FC.
And when we start talking about how this game kind of got underway, again, 6,000 plus fans at Keyworth Stadium, during the 13th minute, during the moment of silence, remembering those members of Detroit City FC faithful that are no longer with us, that moment of silence is when that goal came in, really in that 14th minute, when Wesley Leggett, put one home off of a defensive miscue from Detroit City FC.
And he capitalized as well, and that's, it's unfortunate. Certainly the timing of it was unfortunate too, given what fans were doing and the Detroit City FC organization was doing at the time. But that's, again, sports, soccer's no different. All of sports, you're going to make mistakes. What mistakes do you get away with? And when you make them, if you're punished for it, it can change the outcome of a match. And certainly, while it didn't change the ultimate outcome, it changed the circumstance of the match for Detroit City FC. And but luckily for them, they were able to overcome it. So in the end, they did get away with it.
And that they did. And we take a look here at the rest of the stats here on your screen. And 11 shots in favor of Detroit City FC to 9 shots for Loudoun United. But shots on target, 6-4. Steinwasser came up big in that game. But so did the Faroux, the goalkeeper for Loudoun, who made a tremendous save like 3 or 4 minutes into that game, point blank range, and then another save by the defender. But this game could have been a quick goal for Detroit City FC early in this one.
No, it could have been, yeah, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, Faroux made a big time save, and you brought up Nate Steinwasser. Now, if you want, you can just tape the comments from the week before and insert them when Detroit City FC wins a match and Steinwasser makes a big save like he tends to do. Yeah, again, just rinse, wash, repeat with Nate Steinwasser. He always comes through. He always seems to have a moment in every single match, and he did it again this week.
He did, no question. We look at the corners, 6-4 in favor of Detroit City. Fouls, they led that as well. Yellow cards, it was 3-1 in that one, and then obviously no red cards, which is good. But saves 3 apiece for both goalkeepers. Again, none bigger than Furrow in that first couple minutes we talked about. Steinwasser standing tall and doing his thing and coming out of there with a 2-1 victory here on Saturday.
No, it is. And like I talked about, they're at the top of the USL table right now. They have the most points in the league with Lou City. And that's, that's no small task, no small feat to accomplish right now because it's critical. We saw firsthand last season, the points you stack in April are as critical as the ones you get in October because Detroit City FN just barely skated into the playoffs. And what happened once they got in? They got a win over the number 1 seed Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So points critical, 3 points even more critical, and they're sitting at the top right now.
I'm a firm believer in not how you start, it's how you finish, right? And obviously, they went down, 1-0, then went to the halftime break. And then you mentioned Jope in the 56th minute with a banger from about 23 yards out, pass for and giving an equalizer there for Detroit City FC, which then led to the 71st minute goal by Maxi Rodriguez, who was just talking about being opportune, right? Opportunistic, deflected ball after that misplayed ball by the goalkeeper for Loudoun United. And and he had nothing but he even said it, blacked out because it was such an easy one to put through. He wishes he had more of those kind of opportunities.
No, it's true, and leave it to Maxie to kind of break it down that way. No, you're absolutely right. And going back to Jope's goal, Elvis Amo, in the mix with that as well, and he's paying dividends, man. I mean, just stepping on the scene and making a difference. There's a wild stat for you. They got 2 goals in consecutive games for the first time since 2022. So, it's one of those things where you have to have quality finishers and quality finishers. Yes. As we saw last week in Colorado Springs, Amo got the goal, got the finish, but they disrupt when they have the ball at their feet, they disrupt and they have impacts on matches. It's not just scoring goals. I mean, you think about Elvis Amo, he's a guy you probably can pencil in for right around double-figure goals, probably a little bit more even, maybe get into that low teens. But it's also, too, what else is he going to contribute? And he was able to contribute here. And Le Jope, very on brand, just puts in the banger, as you said. And we've seen that time and time again from Le Jope. And Maxie, they're not going to get any easier than that one for Maxie. But, hey, he'll take it. Detroit City FC will take it.
Well, that they will. And as we talk here, stats, and as we talk about what happened here this past week, we can't not talk about what's happening right now on the USL Championship website in regards to Goal of the Week nominees. And sure as I am about anything right now, Jope is a nominee for a Goal of the Week. And we're going to put that on your screen right now, available to be voted on until Thursday at noon on the USL Championship website. Again, that 56-minute goal, equalizing in that second half, and that one is a nominee for Goal of the Week for Jope.
Yeah, I know. I'm disappointed I wasn't able to be on the call for that, because that's one of my favorite things in sports to call, the banger, the rocket. I love those goals, man. I absolutely love them. So again, I was sad to miss it, but yeah, head out to the USL Championship website, vote Le Jope for Goal of the Week.
No question about that. Again, the voting goes on until Thursday at noon on the USL Championship website. As we move now here, taking a look at the USL Championship standings, we'll take a look here at the results from this past week. But the USL Championship table and this segment presented by True Lending Asset Management, your financial goals are our sole focus. As we take a look now here at the East standings, and they're right at number 2 is Detroit City FC.
Yep, and they're right there, and Lou City is very on brand with Lou City, picking up where they left off. And it was weird because they got off to kind of a slow start last season before, really putting the pedal down to the floor to close the year. But right now they're starting up at the top. But again, you're right there. You're Detroit City. You love the spot you're in.
Yeah, and you mentioned this earlier, the victories coming here early in the season become very crucial towards the middle of the table, towards the middle of the season, and as we get towards the business end of this championship year. The reason why that's important is because those points are so much harder to come by here as you get later in the season.
No, they absolutely are, because everybody's playing for something, at that point. So, yes, they do become difficult because of pressure, too. Let's be real. Everybody talks about it. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. Well, it counts the same. So I guess technically it is kind of how you start as well. And look, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, they're looking at each other right now a little bit and saying, "Hey, man, we got to get this thing into gear. Like, we're Tampa. We don't roll like this." And right now they're I want to say they're scuffling a little bit, but as they sit right now, they don't like their chair. They're making life hard on themselves, because you got a lot of teams you got to pass to get back up towards the top of that table.
Now, it's possible that while you were in Pittsburgh this weekend, that maybe you left some bad mojo, because obviously the Riverhounds are 0-3. They were the number 1 seed last year going into the playoffs. Obviously, Detroit City FC just missed them in that first round, but they're sitting 0-3 right now, currently 12th in the table.
Maybe DCFC broke them. I don't know. Like it's no, it is. But look, I mean, it's hard, right? When you look at the season that they had last year, where they just ran through everybody, and it was never really in doubt who the 1 seed was going to be in the East. It's tough to fire, though, especially when you lose in that kind of fashion, where Detroit City FC went in and operated a game plan in that playoff game and really just snatched their soul for the year, because that's what they did. Because Pittsburgh thought, you go towards a man, I would bet they would tell you they expected to win the USL Championship last year, and that simply did not materialize. I don't know if there's a bit of a hangover. I had a chance to watch them as of yet, but things aren't going well. That is for sure. Now, they're a quality side. They're a quality organization. They're always in the mix. So I'm not going to be surprised when they're in the mix towards the end of the year. But right now, they got some things they got to sort out.
That they do. So take a look here. I know we have the table on the screen, but let's take the results here from this past week in the USL Championship. These are the East matchups that took place, or East teams that took place here over the weekend. And you mentioned that Louisville City, again, they're at the top of the table. They 3-1 over Pittsburgh Riverhounds. You've got the Charleston Battery. They won 4-0 in their matchup. You got Birmingham Legions. They won 1-0 over Hartford Athletic. And you get to see there across the board. Indy 11, they tied against Sacramento. They tied there on Saturday.
It's a good result right there.
And it's a very good result. And obviously, who is Detroit City facing here this weekend? It's going to be Indy 11. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But anything here stick out at you a little bit in regard to these results?
Yeah, 4 draws out of 7 matches. That's always good for business when you get 3 points, and that's really maximizing the impact of the win. Now, was it a match Detroit City FC was favored in? Yeah. Should they win that match? Yeah, but they did. And ultimately it worked out because there were 4 draws involving Eastern Conference teams. So they really, really created some space getting those 3 points and having all those other teams only get 1.
And no question about, excuse me, as we go into now taking a look here at the goal leaders here in the Eastern Conference. And right there in the mix is Jack Blake. Now, Blake is part of Indy 11, a player that we're going to worry about here coming this Saturday.
No, absolutely. And he's been a good player for a while now. Zach Ryan, the Loudoun United match, that was the first match this season. He didn't score in, so that's pretty good job by Detroit City FC. Albert Dequa always at the top of this list, it seems like. Doesn't matter where he goes. And, we were talking about Pittsburgh, to see he's on Rhode Island. So certainly that's going to have an impact and something Pittsburgh's going to have to adjust to. So, pretty on brand for Albert Dequa to be up there. But all in all, with a perfect start for Detroit City FC.
And obviously, a number of Detroit City FC players have won goal this season, and we'll keep an eye on any of them making it here to the list here during the next number of episodes as we continue to look at the goal leaders for the Eastern Conference. As we move now into this next matchup, in the Indy 11 matchup coming up here on Saturday, our countdown ticker just there on the top of your screen. That's the amount of days until the next matchup, and this one with Indy 11 is a big one.
No, it certainly is because, think about that, right? If you're able to sneak out 3 more points on the road at Indy, which is a tough place, Michael Carroll Stadium there on the campus of IUPUI. It's a tough place. Indy 11's very well supported. I know Le Rouge will be very well represented down there in Indianapolis as well. But Indy 11's always seemed to be one of those teams that Detroit City FC's kind of bouncing back and forth with as far as the playoff positioning goes every single year. So, you get those road points, you take 1, you love 3, and that seems to be the scenario every road match that you do roll out to. DCFC has gotten has gotten result before against Indy 11. I know Indy 11's had the edge lately, but again, this is a new season, and Detroit City FC's in a very good run of form right here. And Danny Dichio, man, he's been good so far. He's been very, very good. He seems to push the right buttons, and that's a skill. That's a skill that a manager has, and he seems to have it.
And there's no question as we kind of dive in more here into the matchup history as we take a look here. This is the 5th overall meeting between these two teams dating back to 2022. And, Indy 11 has won the last 2 meetings. Not that makes a huge difference. We talk about history and how history doesn't always mean anything, doesn't necessarily mean anything, especially when it comes to that specific game. But hey, DCFC has won. They were in their first ever meeting back on July the 9th, back in 2022. But they hold the edge as 11. They hold a 4-1 goal edge, and they've shut out DCFC 3 times.
Right. Elvis Amo was not involved in any of those matches, though. But I go back, I play to the crowd to get a couple laughs, obviously. But also, I bring it up from that standpoint is he is having an impact. And when you go out and you get your finisher, you get a guy that's going to score goals, that's going to figure in goals, which Elvis Amo certainly has done during his short time here at Detroit City FC. It's different. I gave you the stats, 2 goals in back-to-back games since 2022. So it's one of those things where they have a different look defensively, and they're to be reckoned with. They went to Colorado Springs, got 2 goals again at Keyworth. Granted, one was kind of a gift, but that's the way the game works sometimes.
Well, that is the way it works. But again, I think that history does lend us to at least looking at forecasting what could potentially happen. I mean, as a former athlete myself, I can tell you that I did use history to kind of help me prepare myself for what was going to happen in the present. And I would imagine that the professional players still do that on some level.
I'm sure they do. But again, Elvis Amo wasn't there, so he has no recollection of it. And I look for him to maybe bag another one coming up this Saturday at Indy 11, and looking forward to being on the call. TV 50 here in Detroit, so make sure you tap into that on Detroit 50. I'll be on the call for that one.
No question about that. Take a look here at the upcoming schedule for the weekend. Again, week 5 schedule. It's a late weekend because of the Easter break, but nonetheless, Indy 11. That's the weekend nightcap right there. Detroit City FC on Saturday night at 7 p.m. at Michael A. Carroll Stadium. Any matchups here that you're looking forward to seeing here outside of that Detroit City FC matchup?
Yeah, I mean, it's human nature, right? You start to look with DCFC sitting at the top of the table. You start to look at Lou City and what they got going on. And Birmingham's coming into Lynn Family Stadium, and usually can just pencil Lou City in for those 3 points there. So again, it's super early, everybody. It's super early, and I'm not saying that this is the case, that it's a race between Le Rouge and Lou City right now. Although technically it is, because they're tied there at the top of the table. But if that's what you fancy, you keep an eye on these kinds of things as things begin to shake out here as we look to push towards April.
No question about that. That is our recap show. Before we kind of sign off here, I think it's important, Neil, if you did not know that this existed, it does. We just started this here. This is our second week of doing this. I think it's important to share this with your friends and family if you haven't already done so. Let the world know what we're doing here, because it's only going to get better as we continue to do this.
No, absolutely. And it's something too where, look, with Detroit City FC coverage, fans have clamored for it and say, we want to see more of it. We're trying to put it out there. And, you guys are doing it. The Michigan Soccer Network doing a great job of just kind of hand delivering it to it. This is Detroit City FC's own little weekly recap. You don't see this for a lot of the other sports in town. I'm talking the pro sports, the college sports. You're not seeing what we're trying to do here. And it's only going to work like if we, as you said, we share it with your friends, share it with Northern Guard, everybody who loves Le Rouge. There's certainly a ton of you. There's over 6,000 out there again. So please feel free to share it. Say, hey, take a look at this, because we're doing this every week throughout the season. So we're going to be your first stop for Detroit City FC recaps, previews, USL Championship table action, all of it, and we're bringing it to you.
No question about that. Detroit City FC taking on Indy 11 this Saturday night, 7 p.m. kickoff from Michael A. Carroll Stadium in Indiana, and we're excited to have Neil Rule on the call. You can watch that on TV 50, right?
No, TV 50 Detroit, 7 o'clock, as you said, the opening kick. I'll be on a couple of other matches on Saturday as well, doing NWSL matchups also. So I got a full slate on Saturday. I'm certainly looking forward to it, but obviously anchored Detroit City FC, Indy 11, TV 50. Hope you guys can check it out.
Awesome. Neil, man, thank you again. That is a wrap here on Detroit City FC's recap show, and we'll be back here next week for more.
Absolutely.